Welcome to The Other Side, Mississippi Today's political podcast. I'm Geoff Pender, joined here today with my colleagues, Taylor Vance. Taylor, hello.
Hey, Geoff.
And Michael Goldberg.
Hey, Geoff.
Welcome, guys. How are y'all doing?
As well as we could be on this hot summer morning. Can't complain.
Right. Looking forward to 4th of July.
Sure. Been a pretty busy week for the summertime in the political world. Michael, I know this week you covered the Stennis luncheon where House Speaker Jason White, it appeared, pretty much came out with his agenda for next year's legislative session. What were some of the things he focused on?
Yeah, so Speaker White took the Stennis lunch as an opportunity to kind of set the stage for his caucus's priority next session. It was one of the first times, I believe, he appeared in public since last week's announcement of 3 new select committees, House select committees, which will look into some of those priorities, meet, sort of brainstorm in this intersession period before next January. And as he said in his announcement and repeated at the Stennis lunch, his number one priority will be, as he calls it, education freedom. He kind of prefers that moniker to school choice, which is the label that has been embraced by most conservative education groups, but has become sort of politically charged, one could say, in recent years. And I would say more or less Speaker White indicated that he and his caucus will sort of stick to the most of the policy objectives they advanced or tried to advance last session before these education priorities either died in the Senate or in some cases didn't even come up for a vote in the House. The main sort of piece of news, I would say, on the education front is he did indicate that they will be taking a different legislative tact next session by introducing a comprehensive education package. He likened it to sort of a big, beautiful bill, he did say outright, that the big, beautiful bill, which just passed the Senate yesterday, the U.S. Senate yesterday, as we're talking, served as an inspiration, as did House Bill 1, which was the really comprehensive tax reform package that passed last session. He wants to kind of stuff all of his caucus's education priorities into one bill, rather than the kind of piecemeal approach his caucus took this past session, voting on standalone education bills, whether it's portability, making it easier to transfer between public schools, potentially a voucher-related bill, making it possible for homeschooled students to play sports in public schools, etc. He thinks that from a negotiating standpoint, he can convince some members concerned about elements of his school choice agenda to more or less vote on a comprehensive bill if he can kind of include enough provisions that would kind of coax them across the finish line. So we'll see a different strategy with respect to how education policy advances next session. But nevertheless, the core policy provisions, again, such as portability, open enrollment, those will be the focus. He did say that, he recognizes that universal school choice, there still aren't the votes in his chamber, though he favors them. So it appears that that will not be included in this comprehensive package.
Yeah, I guess on a national level, school choice can mean a lot of different things, but in the past, one of the big arguments has been over, like you said, universal or a voucher system where public dollars can pay for private school tuition. I guess he did concede that even among his Republican caucus, that would be a tough sell.
Yeah, he did concede that it would be a tough sell, and it was interesting. He offered, I think, his clear explanation or theory as to why. And he traced it back to kind of the racial politics of education in Mississippi. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, due to the sort of difficult history in Mississippi, with private schools, many of them originating as bulwarks against the effort to integrate schools following the civil rights reform of the 1960s. It just makes the conversation about sort of sending public money to private schools fraught. And for many members, even in his own caucus, it's difficult to sort of get there. So he did recognize that a more, I think, sweeping voucher related program is just the votes aren't there. He also, just quickly, there are other select committees that will be meeting, one to address the financial challenges of PERS, the pension system for state employees. No news there. He stuck to his wish that members will, or the legislature will come up with a dedicated revenue stream. He'd like to fund that through either mobile sports betting legalization or the state lottery proceeds. Also, some work will be done on a select committee handling issues related to the capital city of Jackson. They're going to look at efforts to improve the water and sewer system, though he is. That's
a committee that's been around.
That's a committee.
At least a year.
Yeah. Was created in 2024. Last session, they focused on issues related to homelessness. They passed 5 bills in relation to the work that was done last year in that committee. This year, again, focused on water and sewer, although he's cautioned that there will be no sort of takeover, but it remains to be seen what that actually entails.
There's also a committee on voter rights.
That's right.
As well.
And Taylor, I know you've covered voter rights pretty extensively, so I don't know if you want to talk about some of the objectives there.
Well, based off of your stellar reporting, I think it's my understanding that some of the issues that committee can explore is the ballot initiative, pre-election day voting, which is completely not related to early voting, but just pre-election day voting, and maybe some, restoring suffrage to former people who had been previously convicted of a disenfranchising felony offense, I think.
Right. Do y'all think it's been in limbo now for years? You think there's a chance they would get something done on the ballot initiative? That's it's going nowhere in the Senate, right?
No, I think, and I think the speaker may have hinted at this.
Yes.
I think that the appetite may change a little bit in the Senate. Now that you have 2 chairmen who have been pretty opposed to it in the Senate, who are no longer, they will not be returning. Senator John Polk is not going to run in a special election, and neither will Senator David Parker from DeSoto County. So that may change some things, but I know there have been some grassroots efforts. There have been some, I think we've, interviewed Spence Flatguard with Ballot Access Mississippi, who's worked to kind of get it across the finish line. And there have been some people pressing it. But I think unless you have people and groups just running, funding negative campaign ads, or people really, really targeting some senators who are just locked in, dead set against it, I don't know if, the appetite will change much in the Senate, but I could be wrong. But we shall see.
Sure. You touched on something else going on this summer. Special elections for legislative seats. Maybe a lot of folks may not realize that, but how many? Essentially, we're going to have do-over elections for how many?
Right.
14.
I believe 14 seats. There are 5 House races, and what that would make 9. Yeah, nine Senate seats. That are running in a special election. It's because of redistricting. You had a federal court ruled that during this latest round of redistricting, the state diluted black voting power and ordered the legislature to create more majority black districts. So that is sort of where we're at. And it's not, you can't just change sort of one or two, because when you tweak one district, it affects another. It's a domino effect. And so, yeah, the thing that's different about this round of special elections is typically, in a special election, they are nonpartisan, but that is not the case.
We're going to have primaries,
party primaries, runoff,
okay.
Potential runoff in the primary, and then a general. And it's a very compressed timeline. So it is sort of like
primaries are what, August 5th?
Yeah,
right
about a month.
Okay. Yeah.
And then with the general election in November, and there are incumbents who have challengers, so it could be interesting to see.
Some of these are really going to be competitive, right?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
We've got some in DeSoto County, probably some of the bigger races.
It's in the Senate you have sort of the DeSoto County area, and then you have sort of the Hattiesburg, Lamar, Forest, and Jones County areas, and then in the House, it's sort of northeast Mississippi. It's sort of the main district is the Chickasaw County district, and of course you have some Lee, Monroe, and the Lowndes County area that are impacted by that as well.
And on top of those, from redistricting, we're going to have at least 3 special elections just from people getting elected to other office or retiring.
Yeah, so I believe Representative Orlando Payton was elected mayor of Clarksdale.
Right.
And then Senator John Horn, of course, was elected mayor of Jackson. So there will be special elections for that.
Senator Jordan is retiring. Right.
Yeah. So at least 3 there.
Going to be an unusual off year with lots of legislative races. And I know we're still a ways out from the statewides. That's 2027, but that's not stopping some people from jumping in. I know we probably already discussed Andy Gibson.
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts. He's running.
He's in it.
He's even released a new album.
Yeah. Have you listened to any of the album?
I have. Commissioner Gibson has been kind enough to send me a few early release songs, and I think we played at least part of one of his songs on a little video we did. But
one of the few perks of being a reporter at Mississippi Today, pre-release albums from statewide officials.
We might become gospel music critics before too long.
Commissioner Gibson, I got to hand it to him. He's got a voice.
Yeah.
He really does. We'll have to get him back on maybe to do a tune. We'll see. But
potentially the first Mississippi governor to perform at his own inauguration.
Potentially,
we'll find out.
Right.
I know. I believe there was an event that he was at recently where someone was supposed to sing the national anthem, and I think they backed out or something happened, and so Commissioner Gibson just stepped right up and sang it.
Beyond that, though, we've seen Taylor. You had some news this week on the U.S. Senate front, or actually, 2 Democratic candidates have left the party. That was kind of big.
2 candidates have left the Democratic Party, but for very different reasons.
Yeah.
You have Ty Pinkins, a former Democratic candidate for the U.S. Senate. He unsuccessfully challenged Senator Roger Wicker, last year, and now he is announcing that he is going to challenge Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith next year, but instead of running as the Democratic nominee, he's going to run as an independent. He wrote a fairly lengthy blog post, I believe, over the weekend, just saying that he had some issues with the internal politics of the Democratic Party. He felt that there were some party bosses, I think, so to speak, who were gatekeepers and trying to basically he felt that they were blocking him from advancing within the party and trying to control the party and not having a more sort of democratic system and letting people just kind of run on their own volition, that they were, wanted to control the dynamics. And, it will be interesting. Scott Colomb, a district attorney from the Golden Triangle area, is supposedly, going to run as a Democrat, but we have not heard anything from him. But but on our podcast, James Carville went ahead and announced his.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned the Carville podcast, and I think back to the conversation we had with James about the particular. The inability of the state and Democratic Party to successfully sort of organize. I don't think it's, opining too much to suggest that the party infrastructure has really faced a lot of challenges in recent years with its leadership, with its ability to sort of fundraise, et cetera. And he pointed out that, if you are a ambitious, aspiring politician in Mississippi, and you see, where the money is going as far as fundraising, the organizational infrastructure, it might be, enticing to look at alternate paths. So I just wonder how much of, and we're going to talk about a different candidate as well, in addition to Ty Pinkins, Shawaski Young, who has made a similar choice. How much of this has to sort of do with the particular personalities involved, the lack of support they felt, and how much of it has to sort of do with maybe how much of it can be sort of connected to efforts we've seen in other states. I'm thinking of someone like Dan Osborne, who was a Senate candidate formerly in Nebraska. How much of this can be tied to a trend nationwide of Democrats in particular looking for alternate paths to get elected in red states? I don't know if either of y'all have thoughts about that.
You mentioned Shawaski Young, who is not going independent, right?
No, he's going
party.
He's switching to the Republican Party. He has a little bit of an interesting history. He attempted to run as the Democratic nominee for Secretary of State and was the Democratic nominee the last statewide election cycle. But I think had some people were raising questions if he met the residency requirements to run. He said he did, but sort of right when state officials really started to question and scrutinize and look at all of this, he withdrew from the race and cited medical reasons. And now he has just switched entirely to the Republican Party and has said he feels that the Republican Party aligns more with his ideals and is going to try Secretary of State again as a Republican. I think there will be a crowded GOP primary.
We've sounds like several folks
Senator
lining up.
Joel Carter from the coast and Geoff Tate from Meridian have said that they are running in the Republican primary. So it'll be interesting to see, what factor Shawaski or what role he plays in the primary now.
Sure. Well, this summer should be interesting. It's politically going to be pretty active.
We've got the Neshoba County Fair coming up.
That's coming up. And those extra legislative races should be interesting. Well, guys, as we record this, we're getting ready for the 4th. Hope you have a good one, and we'll be checking back in soon.
You too.
Sounds good.
Hope y'all don't injure yourself shooting fireworks or anything.
Thanks, guys.
See you.